that, just as a preview. When you go down to the big city in Melbourne or Sydney or any other city, and you see these great big cranes reaching up into the sky on these new building sites, have you ever wondered how the people get up there? Have you ever wondered whether you see the top thing where the man has to operate, is there a ladder? Or is there a lift? How does he get up there? A ladder? Do you think, does he get up by a ladder? Just a long way up, isn't it, from the ground? If about 40 stories up, fancy walking up that ladder every day, all the way up and all the way back. By the time you get up there, it'd be absolutely fagged out. Be ready to sit down, I reckon. So he had this ladder that goes up and down. And you have to have a good head for heights, I would imagine. If you were up in that crane top all day, relying on other people to give you instructions from way down below, and looking out over the city or wherever you are, you must have a good head for heights. Anyway, that's one thing. Did he get up in a lift, or did they go up in a ladder? Just think about that. Another thing, how do they build these cranes? They're built in sections, aren't they? One section, and then a bit more, and a bit more. And you do see the men going up from sections and sections sometimes when they're building them on a ladder. So we know that they do that. So that's one thing. But I'm still mystified how they get to the top. Think about that. And another thing, when you go to London, which I've done a few times, we go to St Paul's Cathedral. Have you ever been to St Paul's Cathedral? Who's been to St Paul's Cathedral? Yeah. Well, in St Paul's Cathedral, there's a staircase. It's not a narrow staircase, it's quite a wide staircase, and the steps are quite wide, but it goes round inside a sort of a circle, spiral, till you get to the very, very top of the balcony. And as you get to the very top, you can look right down into the centre of St Paul's Cathedral to the ground below. And the people do look very small down there too. And it's a wonderful sight. That's another ladder. Up, have to go up, and you have to come down. Have to be careful when you go up the ladder, because there are other people pushing and shoving to get to the top. And when you do get to the top, to the Whispering Gallery, you can hear people talking way around the other side, very softly. Have you ever experienced that? Yeah. So there's another example of steps going from ground level up top somewhere. So there's two examples of a ladder. Now, I know builders have lots of ladders, and they have to be very careful with their ladders. I'm not game enough to go up any ladders anymore because I fell down. So I'm not going up any more ladders, but builders do have ladders to go up and down, and they have to be in good order and kept up to standards, don't they? And another example, before we go on, who's been to the Blue Mountains in New South Wales? Who's been to Katoomba? Who's been down the spiral staircase? Yeah, some of you have, so you know what that's like, don't you? From the Three Sisters, at the top, you go down into the valley, down these steep little steps, right down to the bottom. And if you're game enough, you have to come up again. Or you can come up on the railway thing. But when we were younger, we used to go down the steps and up again. I can't do it now. But that's another example of steps going up and down. So there's three examples of staircases going from ground level up into the skies. And as we look at the story of Jacob and Esau and Jacob, there's another story about a ladder. But before we get on to that, let's just recap about who was Esau and Jacob. Well, Esau and Jacob were two sons, they were twins. And their parents were Isaac and Rebekah. And they were born as twins, but they weren't, I don't think, identical twins, because one was rather reddish in colour, reddish hair on his body. He was an outdoor type of person. That was Esau. And Jacob was a quieter person, I believe. He was more of a home person. He stayed around the home, perhaps doing jobs for his parents. So they were completely different characters as brothers. That happens in the family sometimes. Not all brothers are the same. They're all different. And Esau, as I said, was the outdoor type. He loved to go hunting and shooting and all those sorts of things that they did in those days. And he was the firstborn son of the couple. The couple were not young, they were elderly. And unfortunately, Isaac was going a bit blind, so he couldn't see very well. And the story tells us that one day the father would give his blessing to the eldest son, and that was Esau. But Rebekah was rather not too pleased about that, because her favourite son was Jacob. And she wished that he could have the blessing instead of his brother Esau, because she felt that he deserved it more than Esau. Esau was always out in the countryside doing things, but Jacob was at home, and she felt that he should have the blessing. So what did she do? Well, she said to him one day, "Look here, I'm going to make sure that your father takes notice of you. I want you to go to your father and say to him, 'Father, I know that Esau's the eldest in the family and you're going to give him his blessing, but I want the blessing instead of Jacob, instead of Esau.'" And Jacob thought, "No, I can't do that, Mother. That's cheating." She said, "No, don't worry about it. I'll organise it." So she sent him away to his father's. And when they got there, Esau was discussing with his father about having a meal together. And after the meal, he would give the blessing, his blessing on the son, the eldest son, the blessing of God. And it would be a good thing for Esau to have it. And Jacob was listening. And he thought, he went back to his mother and said, "Yeah, he's going to give the blessing, Mother." And she said, "Look, what you do, you go and get some meat, cook it like your father likes it, take it to him, and I will make sure that you will get the blessing. I will cover you with hairs so that you look like Esau, because he's very hairy, and you will smell like him because you will smell like the sheep and the cattle that he goes out with. So go and do this for me, will you?" So Jacob thought, "Okay, if that's what you want, Mother, I'll do it." So he got the meal, he cooked the meal, and he went to his father. And his father said, "How are you, son?" And Jacob said, "Okay, Father, I brought the meal for you, as you promised." "Okay, beautiful." He ate the meal, and he said, "Now I'm going to give you the blessing." And he blessed him. He gave Jacob the blessing instead of Esau. Wow. What do you think Esau's feelings were when he found out? He was furious, wasn't he? He was furious that his brother and his mother had cheated on him, and he wanted to kill him. He threatened to kill him. So he sent him away. And I think Jacob was rather disturbed about that, because he really didn't want to do that to his father inside him. He only did it because his mother told him to. He had his own nature, but he took his mother's nature. He did what she said.